40 years seems like a long time. I've picked up a lot of experience in that time. And I want to talk about how we can protect ourselves against the coronavirus as well as other infections. So a lot in the news, a lot of people thinking about the coronavirus and what can we do. There's some good advice coming out from governments about how not to get it, how not to spread it, washing our hands, minimizing contact, etc. All good advice. But what else can we do? Macrobiotics has always looked at and stressed things we can do to help ourselves as well as using external means. And really there's a lot that we can do to strengthen our immune system, which is going to help protect ourselves against coronavirus, or if we pick up an infection, then it's going to make us less likely to get severe symptoms. A lot of people who've got into macrobiotics have experienced that they've really had a reduced number of infections. I'm not going to say it's a magic bullet, that it's perfect, but for myself, before I got into macrobiotics in 1980, every couple of years, flu, week in bed, a few more weeks feeling dreadful, taking time to recover. Since I got into macrobiotics, very occasionally I pick up a cold when there's something nasty going around, but I've not had flu in 40 years, which has been one of many benefits of macrobiotic way of life. Saved a lot of time in bed and suffering and wasted time. And you can see, around you, some people pick up infections very easily. They say, if there's something going around, then I always pick up on it. Other people very seldom get infections when they're going around. So this is because the immune system, people's immune system can really vary in how well it's functioning. So I want to tell you about some ways you can really strengthen your immune system. For me, this is part of the kind of good news of macrobiotics, that there's a lot of things we can do to help ourselves, to help our health. If we don't understand things like how to change our health, then we're likely to be more fearful, to feel more of a victim to whatever is going around and whatever illnesses or infections or other things that are happening in our lives. Whereas really, if we can understand life and health and how we work and the things we can do to help ourselves, it's very empowering, and it really reduces fear, because we know how we can help ourselves, how we can help our children, maybe our parents, elderly parents, and those around us, which really creates, it's a much more positive way to live, creates more peace inside. So let's have a look at how to strengthen our immune system. Really, our immune system is a reflection of quite a lot of body systems. And so the strength of our immune system really depends a lot on our overall health. So everything we do to invest in our overall health is also probably going to help our immune system. So it may help to take some particular supplements or herbs or particular things. But what I want to talk about more is how to help certain body organs and systems, which is going to really help strengthen our immune system on a much deeper and more profound, more long-lasting way. So let's look at some different areas that concern with our immune system. The first is creating an external barrier. This is the first line of defense of the immune system. So our skin is a very good barrier for keeping out bacteria and fungi and viruses. Not very much gets through. But in our gut, in our intestines, and also inside our nose and inside our lungs, we have a mucous membrane which has to be thin and has to be wet so that the body can clean it. Actually, in the lungs and the sinuses, we produce all the time a very thin mucus, which traps dust particles, bacteria, fungi, viruses, and then moves them to the back of the throat. That mucus gets swallowed down to the stomach, very acid, destroys most of the microbes. So there's a very kind of efficient cleaning system. So we need to have a healthy mucous membrane. So how do we have a healthy mucous membrane? This isn't much recognized or acknowledged in Western medicine. When they talk about the immune system, they think about the immune cells, the B cells, T cells, phagocytes, all the different kinds of white blood cells. But actually the first line of defense is our mucous membrane. This has been recognized a little bit by Western medicine. So for example, you can get a spray which you spray up your nose to coat the mucous membrane to create a stronger barrier. But hey, why don't we learn how to use the mucous membrane that we have and make that strong, so to keep out all kinds of different infections. So how do we create a strong mucous membrane? A couple of things. So the mucous membrane, it's a layer of cells, and these need to be tight. This needs to be create a strong barrier. Certain foods will help create a tight barrier, and other foods will help make it more waterlogged, swollen, and porous, so that things get in. One sign that this barrier has become weak is suffering from allergies to airborne things in the air. Might be dust, cat hair, pollen, etc. That's a sign that this barrier has become weak, and these things are getting through the barrier, and then the body is setting up a reaction against them. So certain foods really weaken this barrier. They make it swollen and waterlogged and weak. I'd say number one is sugar. In macrobiotic way of thinking, certain foods have a more expansive effect on all kinds of different body tissues and organs, which have a weakening effect on cells and tissues and also the mucous membranes. Sugar is one of these. Drinking a lot of fruit juices makes the body tissues more watery, especially tropical fruits. Also, eating a lot of fruits, especially tropical fruits. Everybody thinks fruit's great, it's healthy, but actually, if we can eat too much fruit, it's soft, it's watery, it makes our tissues soft and watery. And actually, the mucous membranes and the lungs really don't like a lot of soft, watery food. The lungs like more dry food. That's why certain illnesses, lung illnesses, get better when people go to more of a hot, dry climate. That's why a lot of people in the UK like to go to south of Europe for some heat and some dryness. And a lot of people experience that asthma, bronchitis, hay fever, certain kind of lung problems get better when they go to a more hot, dry climate. So also caffeinated drinks expand the mucous membrane. Alcohol does. So there's the kind of main things. So we want to not eat much of those. In fact, we really don't need to eat refined sugar at all, for all kinds of reasons to do with the health. If you're a regular sugar eater, really good to look at ways of reducing your sugar. This is one of the main things you can do to strengthen your immune system. If you want some help with that, please go to our website, for the International Macrobiotic School. Website's macroschool.co.uk, and if you click on the in the bar information, you can download a whole article on how to cut out sugar from your diet. So this is one of the main things that you can do to strengthen your immune system. Then you can create a more of a tight mucous membrane. Also, the foods which positively help creating a tight mucous membrane, you could say, are whole plant foods. Whole grains, they have a tightness to them, a good barrier, a good skin. Beans, vegetables, don't take the skin off. You know, that's the barrier. There's fiber there. Fiber also helps create a stronger mucous membrane. Also, a good amount of minerals in food. And we get minerals especially from green vegetables, you know, other root vegetables and things as well. Whole grains, beans, there's a lot of minerals in seeds, nuts, and also sea vegetables are very, very high in minerals, much higher than land vegetables. So part of macrobiotics has always been eating small amounts of sea vegetables every day. It's come from the Japanese tradition, but actually people all around the world eat small amounts of sea vegetables. So these kind of foods are going to help create a stronger mucous membrane. Then the second thing is we want to help this cleaning system where the mucous membrane in the nose, the throat, lungs creates a very thin mucus which cleans. What doesn't help, well, smoking doesn't help because that can kill off the cilia which are moving this mucus, and also eating mucus-forming foods. Again, it's strange. I always find this strange that why hasn't Western science and medicine really studied mucus-forming foods, because they have such a big impact, especially on the lungs, but also on many other parts of the body as well. So mucus-forming foods, really any foods which contain kind of excess or quick nutrition, which gets into the blood and the body very quickly and quicker than the body can really use up or store. So the most mucus-forming foods are dairy foods. As many people have found, you know, eating dairy foods, you get mucus, or if you have kids, they eat a lot of dairy foods and also sugary foods, and then they get a lot of mucus, and if you cut those foods out, the mucus really gets much less. So dairy foods, because of their fatty nature, sugary foods, Mars bars, cakes, fizzy drinks, etc. Also highly processed foods, especially processed flour, white flour products, cakes, biscuits, pastries, etc. All those kind of really, so especially that combination of white flour and sugar and oil or fat, very mucus forming. So that is going to clog up your lungs. It's going to create a thicker mucus, so bacteria or viruses are going to get stuck in that rather than getting cleaned out of the lungs. So coronavirus, as you know, closely related to the cold virus and the flu virus, these all primarily get in through the lungs. So we want to strengthen our lungs. Something else that strengthens the lungs is good exercise, aerobic exercise where we're breathing deeply. It energizes the lungs. It also helps clear mucus. It also strengthens the mucous membrane. If you've gone for a run or a brisk walk, you might have found that suddenly you start getting all this fluid in your nose and your mouth, and maybe you want to spit it out. That's because the mucous membrane is contracting, becoming stronger, and it's squeezing out the fluid. Same thing with sneezing. You know, personally, if I overeat fruit or drink a bit too much beer, I start sneezing, because those foods have swollen the mucous membrane in my nose, and then what does the body do? It makes an adjustment. It contracts, out comes the fluid, and the mucous membrane becomes stronger. So that's number one: strengthen your lungs and your mucous membranes to create a stronger barrier. And you may find that you start. You know, if you're someone who's prone to picking up infections, you may find that you start getting far less infections as well. Just want to put in one word. I don't want to be a killjoy. Nothing wrong with healthy desserts. I'm not saying we have to stop desserts. So many desserts around have sugar and dairy in. We want to stop those, But hey, let's learn to make ourselves some nice desserts using fruits and making crumbles and puddings and all kinds of things, fruit jellies and so on. Again, look on the website if you want to learn how to make sugar-free, dairy-free desserts. Go to the information button and download the How to Give Up Eating Sugar. There's some good dessert recipes in there. So that's the first line of defense. Then what happens if a virus actually gets into the body, gets into the blood, and gets into the body? The next line of defense, you could say, is our lymphatic system. A lot of people don't know so much about the lymphatic system. We know a lot about the blood system. If we cut ourselves, blood comes out, and we know the blood system is going throughout the whole body, big arteries and veins, and down to very small capillaries, which supply every single cell in the body with blood and nutrients and oxygen. But likewise, we have a lymphatic system which goes through the whole body. Two main functions. One is the blood, it's under pressure, and so fluid leaks into all the tissues, into all the organs, muscles, brain, skin, and that fluid needs to be drained away. If it's not drained away, then we would just blow up and up and up and up. Something like 3-4 liters a day of fluid goes into our tissues. So we need this drainage system, and that's what the lymphatic system is. And this is a picture of our lymphatic system. It's a little complicated, but basically they're vessels. How can I do this? They're vessels which go throughout the whole body, and they go from the extremities, from the feet up the legs into the torso, from the hands down the arms into the torso, from the head down the neck into the torso. And then from the torso they collect and return the fluid. The lymphatic system returns the fluid into the blood system close to the heart. So very useful. That stops us blowing up. Then the second main function is that the lymphatic system cleans the blood. So at various points, like in our groin here, where the lymphatic vessels are coming into the torso, we have a lot of lymph nodes which contain a lot of white blood cells which are cleaning the blood. Same thing in our armpits. So all the lymph coming up the arms is cleaned before it gets into the body. Same in the neck. We have a lot of lymph nodes here and also around behind here. So all the lymph coming down from the head gets cleaned before it goes into the body. Also a lot in our intestines, because our food contains a lot of microorganisms, and so we have a lot of lymph nodes in our intestines as well. Lymphatic system, very important in our immune system. So how do we have a healthy lymphatic system? Number one is regular exercise. Whereas the heart pumps the blood, there's nothing to pump lymph. So when muscles contract, it pushes the lymph along through the lymph vessels, and it doesn't go backwards because of little valves. So when we're using our body, then we're helping the lymph to flow. So whether we want to run and play rugby and football and tennis and stuff, or whether we just want to do brisk walking, or Tai Chi, or Qigong, or yoga, any kind of movement like that is going to help move the lymph. And then, secondly, we want to eat foods which create good lymph, which don't clog up the lymphatic system. So, again, excuse me, I'm going to have to just turn off somebody trying to reach me on Skype. So just hold on 1 second. I should have closed that down beforehand. So lymphatic system, number two. We want to have good lymph. Again, we want to avoid mucus-forming foods. If we're eating mucus-forming foods, dairy foods, fatty, sugary, oily, processed foods, our lymph becomes sluggish. In Western medicine, they say when our lymph nodes become swollen, it's because of an infection in the lymph nodes, here or here, in our groins, which is very often true, but sometimes they can swell when there's no infection, but just because they're getting clogged, especially by sugary and fatty, oily foods. These can swell up. So again, same as for lungs, we want to avoid these mucus-forming foods and instead eat more whole foods. So I was reading recently, there's a new movement called plant-based whole foods. Actually, when I got into macrobiotics in the late 1970s, there was a whole foods movement, and still, after 40 years, we still need a whole foods movement. We still need to be eating mostly whole grains, beans, whole vegetables, seeds, sea vegetables, etc., and not much in the way of processed breakfast cereals, pastries, Pop-Tarts, biscuits, and all the rest. We can make some healthy cookies, but just not all this processed stuff. It's very mucus forming. We need to get back to eating more whole foods. This is what we've eaten for thousands and thousands of years, whole foods, and that's what the body does well. So these two things are going to help the lymph and the lymphatic system. Then number 3. We want to help our lungs, our lymphatic system. We want to help our immune cells, the white blood cells that attack viruses, bacteria in various different ways, producing chemicals to identify them and kill them. Some cells engulf them and gobble them up. So how can we help our immune cells? How can we have strong immune cells? Again, number 1, don't eat sugar. Some scientific research has shown that sugar inhibits a particular kind of white blood cell called neutrophils. And these are white blood cells which are the first ones to get to infections. And they engulf a virus or a bacteria or a fungus and surround it and then digest it. And also send out signals for other immune cells to come. So research has shown that every time we eat sugar, those cells become inactive. They kind of freeze. So if we start off the day with a sugary breakfast, and then mid-morning we have a sugary snack, some more sugar after lunch, sugary snack in the afternoon, nice piece of cake or something, more sugar in the evening, maybe a bit more before we go to bed. Basically, we're really reducing the effectiveness of the immune system throughout the whole day. That's bad news. That's not a good thing to do. So again, we want to get away from eating refined sugar and needing that kind of sugar hit throughout, through the day. Then taking an Oriental medicine view for a minute, these white blood cells, like the red blood cells, are coming from the bone marrow. And in Oriental medicine, the bones and the bone marrow and this kind of production of cells is mostly under, or mostly nourished or fed by the kidneys, or the kidney energy. So in Oriental medicine, the organs not only have physical functions, but they have wider functions, physical, energetic, emotional, mental functions in the body. And so the kidneys are in charge of the bones and in charge of storing the fundamental energy in the body. They're like our deep batteries. So when our deep batteries are full, and we're feeling a good amount of energy in our body, we have good stamina, then our immune system is stronger. Things which weaken the kidney energy and our deep energy reserves also weaken the immune system. So, for example, a lot of stress, really takes a lot of energy out of the body, especially kidney energy, and it's been shown that prolonged stress also weakens the immune system. So if you have certain prolonged stresses in your life, you see if you can find ways of reducing that stress. See if there's some changes you can make in your life. See if you can make your life simpler. Maybe learn to meditate, where you can just let go of everything and reach a place of peace inside. Maybe you need to talk to friends. Maybe you need to get more support. Whatever. See if you can reduce the amount of stress in your life. There's always going to be some stress in life. We can deal with that, especially if we've got strong kidney energy. So see if you can reduce stress. Sleep is when we regenerate our energy. So we need a good amount of sleep and rest. That helps rebuild our kidney energy and strengthen the immune system. Again, it's been shown in Western science that a lack of sleep, prolonged tiredness, also weakens the immune system. I've seen so many people who have caught some more serious infection after a prolonged period of stress and really becoming depleted. Many of you might have experienced that. Maybe normally you don't get colds or flus. You've become really depleted and exhausted by a lot going on in your life or overworking. Bang, that's when you get ill. An infection can get in. So sleep and rest are important. These shouldn't be low down in our priority. They should be high in our priority. So when you can, take a nap. If you're tired, take a nap. Get some sleep. Prioritize that over other things, like watching telly or other things in your life. It's important to rest. I'm getting a bit older now. When I can get a nap in, I get a nap in. Why not? It really helps the body. So we want to reduce stress, we want good sleep, and then from a Western medicine point of view, these immune cells need a lot of minerals and vitamins. So we want to eat a diet that is rich and dense in vitamins and minerals. Which foods are highest in minerals and vitamins? Whole foods. Whole vegetables, green vegetables contain a lot, so we need to eat our greens every day. Root vegetables also, whole grains, B vitamins, beans, seeds containing a lot of zinc and other nutrients, and again, seed vegetables contain a lot of minerals, and we may eat some other foods as well, but we want to make those foods the center of our diet. Strangely, a lot of people eating a more modern Western processed diet, they seem to be eating a lot of richness. Maybe they're eating too many fats and sugars, and yet are commonly depleted in iron, magnesium, B vitamins, etc., because they're not eating these whole foods, which are more dense and rich in minerals and vitamins. Also, avoiding eating the foods which really use up and deplete our minerals and vitamins, especially empty foods like sugar will deplete you of minerals and vitamins because it doesn't come, refined sugar doesn't come with any minerals or vitamins, and yet it needs them to metabolize. Also, a little bit of alcohol is generally okay if your health's okay, but excess alcohol, excess coffee, black tea as well. So that's how we can help our immune cells. So I hope this has given you a kind of a short introduction into how we can strengthen our immune system. This is not only going to possibly help should coronavirus become much more widespread. It will also help protect you against other infections, including flu, which actually in the UK, thousands of people die a year from flu. This is not a new thing. People dying from viruses. Obviously, we want to see if we can stop the spread of coronavirus, but thousands of people die from flu every year. So it'll help protect you against that, and also it'll help increase your health and help prevent other illnesses as well. If you'd like to know more, practically on how to do this, then if you can get to our classes here in South Devon, it'd be fantastic to see you. We run 1 2-day courses, 5-day courses, more for self-help, and also longer year-long courses if you really want to dive into learning how to look after your health deeply, your physical health, your diet, exercise, emotional health, etc. Next Tuesday the 10th at 8 p.m. UK time, I'm going to be doing a Facebook Live session where for people to ask questions about our courses. And I can see that there's some of you asking questions right now, so thank you for that. I wasn't expecting that. So Helha, in these times, reducing electromagnetic radiation makes sense as well. Yes, definitely, because our body defense has to protect us against a number of things. Microbes, I've been talking about, also against electromagnetic radiation, also against chemicals in our environment. So other things we can do to help our immune system is reducing the chemical load in our environment, using ecological household cleaning products, makeups, etc. And see if we can reduce strong sources of electromagnetic radiation as well. Really, in some ways, some people really don't feel the effect of electromagnetic radiation. Other people are very affected, very often for the same underlying reasons, that there's an internal depletion in the body. The body's become weak in various ways, and the body's defense has become weak. Actually, I've been talking a lot about the kind of physical defense of the body, but Oriental medicine and other forms of medicine which understand that our body works not only for physical and chemical reasons, but also energetically, because we're full of life energy. Our defense is also energetic. At the skin, especially, we have our skin has a layer of protective energy to protect us against pathogens, against electromagnetic energy, against chemicals, against other people's emotional energy, and this takes energy. So we need a good amount of energy, chi, ki, prana in the body to really protect us as well. So Oriental medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, traditional forms of medicine are also studying how can we have a lot of chi in our body in order to protect us and keep ourselves well. So maybe that'd be time for another talk. So thanks for your question, Helha. And I'm just going to check and see if there are any other questions. Nope, I can't see any. So thank you for those who've joined, and this is going to be posted, so hopefully other people will see it. And please, if you watch this and you find this useful, then please share it, because the good news is there's a lot that we can do to strengthen our immune system. With coronavirus, actually, it seems like children really aren't catching it very much. For most adults, it's more of a mild illness. Some people get it a bit more seriously. The people who seem to be affected the most, it's most dangerous for, older people and people who already have respiratory illness or whose health is compromised in other ways. So particularly these people, there's things we can do to really help strengthen the immune system still, and help those more vulnerable people as well. So please, please share this information. Okay, thank you very much for joining me, and I'm enjoying these Facebook Live sessions. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching, and do get in touch with me if you've got questions, or if you'd like Facebook Live sessions on other subjects. I'd be really happy to talk about a whole range of different subjects. Okay, bye-bye.